Sorrow, I filled the tub with rusty wine and drowned our children in it. There are so many gods, fortune, doorways, useful arts. To disappoint them all is fatal. I held a world between my teeth once. Blue marble, fine china, but nothing makes me happy. A million lambent oysters, orgiastic pearls of caviar do not make me happy. I have lost my appetite for spring.
When I was in Lisbon, I learned about a pretty unique word. It's saudade, which roughly translated means an incompleteness or a longing for something. But it means something more than that. It's something that we don't really have a word for in English. A longing towards longing itself. Desire in order to desire.
A desire for desire. I felt this for some time, a restless sense of boredom and dullness.
It felt inescapable. Is this anhedonia?
What is anhedonia? In the DSM, it's one of the cardinal symptoms for major depression, a lack of enjoyment in activities that one usually finds enjoyable for at least 2 weeks. Tracing the word back to its origins, we see Ribot's 1896 definition of the disappearance of pleasure. Similarly, we see the psychologist William James's view of anhedonia as this passive loss of appetite for all life's values. Furthermore, Meyerson describes it as something mind-bending, a dropping out from the consciousness of desire and satisfaction. Across older psychiatric texts, we see a nuanced and complex attempt to define anhedonia, mental fatigue, depersonalization, and above all, the painful feeling of having lost feeling.
Contemporary psychiatry has tried its best to understand this difficult story by dissecting the various elements of anhedonia. And for researchers, this means that we should rethink how we experience pleasure. Pleasure isn't just sensation or thought, it is also thought to involve an extra layer of emotional richness.
This is the sort of color we see in the world around us when we fall in love or feel vitalized or inspired. And this is also the sort of lack of color we experience when depressed. It is that longing for longing, as if the light in one's life has completely gone out. We experience a loss of what researchers call hedonic gloss. This gloss is what we attach to certain cognitive and sensory objects, a lover, a book, a cup of coffee. When we're depressed, the shine is gone.
Anhedonia is also characterized famously by a lack of interest and pleasure. This might take the form of consummatory anhedonia, in which you experience a lack of interest or pleasure or enjoyment in activities that you used to find enjoyable, or it could take the form of appetitive anhedonia, where you lack any sort of motivation or anticipation for activities that you would have found enjoyable. In both situations, you often see reduced goal-seeking behavior and just a general lack of motivation. You're going to find yourself asking, what's the point? What if you just got over it? I mean, how real could this be? And you're telling me that some people just are unable to enjoy ice cream? Everybody loves ice cream.
The neurobiology of anhedonia tells a different story. Anhedonia is strongly linked to measurable impairments in the brain reward system, as well as dysfunction in dopamine neurotransmission. In fact, anhedonia is closely tied to significant reductions in brain volume and cortical thickness. Your brain can physically demonstrate the felt experience of joyless existence.
You're probably wondering how we can get anhedonia to magically go away. To figure this out, we first need to understand where it came from. Behavioral theories posit that anhedonia, as well as depression in general, is caused by a chronic exposure to stressors. In other words, it's the outcome of constantly receiving negative feedback.
Divorce, layoffs, financial stress, bad grades, our environment can give us the message over and over that positive rewards are a rare occasion. The fix, then, is simple. Increase exposure to positive reinforcement.
This is the task of behavioral activation, a therapeutic intervention that seeks to increase engagement in rewarding and positive activities, which will then hopefully lead to improved mood and motivation. This is a pretty involved technique, requiring activity scheduling, value and goal assessment, and goal monitoring.
The idea is to get you moving and engaging with the world around you, with activities that have a high potential to get you in a flow state.
This video is brought to you by NordVPN. So you go to order some ice cream from your favorite store because the dullness of anhedonia has made it difficult to leave, when all of a sudden, you're mugged. But how? You're still at home. Your data is very important to sites and scammers that wish to sell or utilize it to track you and control your online experience. But luckily, NordVPN can be there for you, even through your anhedonia.
With Nord, you can become safer online in just one click. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro offers advanced protection from malware, phishing, scams, and other online threats. Downloading a file, Threat Protection Pro checks it for malware. Clicking a link, Threat Protection Pro blocks websites that are fake, malicious, or used for phishing, fraud, or scams. Threat Protection Pro can also block annoying ads to give you a smoother online experience. Give it a try now by visiting nordvpn.com/Sisyphus. In addition to improving your security, Threat Protection Pro stops many types of web trackers to beef up your privacy. That's right, no more annoying cookies. It doesn't even need an active VPN connection to work. Just enable the feature in the NordVPN app for macOS or Windows, relax, and enjoy a better version of the internet. Still on the fence? NordVPN is completely risk-free. On top of not tracking or sharing your data, Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users and 24/7 customer support to help whenever you need. Ready to go online with some security? Go to nordvpn.com/Sisyphus to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount. Feel comfortable knowing you're protected online with NordVPN.
I remember when I was going through a depressive spell, I told myself, I'm going to be depressed forever how long? But in the meantime, I should at least be doing something, because when the time eventually passes, at least I've achieved some sort of goal. So I did 2 things. I signed up for a coaching position for a youth basketball team, and I also started running. And surprise, surprise, doing these activities were so engaging and gave me such a sense of responsibility that my mood eventually improved. Running really got me to, every day run to this part of the city where I could see the sunrise, and that was a little reward on its own. Coaching this kid's basketball team made me responsible for these kids and also the parents, and really instilled this sense of responsibility, accountability, and confidence that I think I needed to finally feel engaged and motivated to do things. Viewing their successes and excitement over learning basketball ruled out any sort of numbness or depressive feelings that I was experiencing. And of course, there were days where I didn't feel very motivated, I didn't feel very engaged, but eventually your mind does catch up to your body.
We see this in depressed individuals who go through behavioral activation, with increased activation in those same areas in the brain involved in reward processing. We also see reductions in the default mode network. Why would this be important? Well, the default mode network is most associated with depressive rumination, that sort of negative in your head thinking that keeps you from being in the present and enjoying the moment.
Perhaps it's because these activities force us into challenging how we see our own capabilities rather than lament over what we think we know about how capable we are of things, that we see this real change and improved engagement in the world around us. As the great Portuguese poet Fernando Pessoa writes, "To know nothing about yourself is to live. To know yourself badly is to think." Of course, something like anhedonia isn't solved by playing soccer or going to get some ice cream. It might involve some engagement in counseling or some pharmacological treatment. Regardless, the important thing is to remember that whatever you're feeling is very real and legitimate, and remember that at the same time, feelings like this will pass.
Sometimes it just takes getting outside of your comfort zone to do it. But first, It means finding that small part of you that believes that things will get better.
As even Paseo concludes, I sometimes think that I would enjoy suffering, but the truth is, I would prefer something else.